Hello, so this is the demonstration video that goes alongside the blog that I've written on tension headaches and neck pain. What we want to do is provide you with as much practical advice as we can in this current pandemic to help keep your muscles healthy and keep you moving. What I was seeing a lot before we closed the clinic doors was a lot of tension headaches and a lot of tension in the neck and the shoulders, particularly through sort of worry and stress and things like that. What tends to happen when we're worried is that we hitch our shoulders up without realizing it, and that places an awful lot of sort of pressure and it shortens the neck muscles here. Equally, what I'm probably looking at for when I go back into clinic, I would imagine that we're going to start seeing a lot of sort of neck pain and tightness right in here, as a result of people working from home, working remotely, sitting down more and watching TV more. The problem that we do sort of see quite a lot with office workers generally, is that as your sort of muscles fatigue and as the day goes on, we tend to sort of put our head in a forward position and we shorten the muscles at the back of the neck there. All of which contribute to getting that tension headache, that pain that goes right up at the back of the skull there, and then feels like your head's in a bit of a vice. What I always ask in clinic is, certainly with people that have recurrent headaches or neck pain, does it feel like the headache particularly is coming from the inside out or the outside in? When it's coming from the outside in and it feels like there's a vice sort of feel across your head there, it's usually to do with your neck muscles that have tightened up and they're pulling on the base of the skull there and causing all of this connective tissue and all of the sort of muscles on your scalp really to just tighten up as well. And that's when we're getting that tension headaches. So what I wanted to do is give you some practical advice in the meantime whilst we can't see you in clinic and we can't iron those muscles out for you. So we're going to discuss a couple of stretches today and things to make sure you're doing or not doing whilst you're stretching, and also a self-release technique that hopefully will keep your muscles at a good level until we can see you. So things to remember before you stretch, and with any stretch, whether it's your neck and your shoulders or your legs or whatever it is you're stretching, the stretch shouldn't be painful. You should feel a stretch, you should feel a little bit of discomfort, but it shouldn't be pain. If it is painful, you're going too far or you're forcing that muscle too far, and actually all it's going to do is snap back once you've gone out of the stretch, and actually you've achieved nothing. It's counterproductive. So I always guide with a hand for some reason. You don't have to do that. You can just drop your head down to the side, but I tend to find that I just use a hand. It feels like I'm doing more when I do that. So you're not yanking on your neck. You're just gently pulling it down to the side there. What you should feel is a stretch from sort of behind here down the shoulder. Again, it shouldn't be painful. It should just feel like you're stretching the muscle there. I count to 60 so that I can guarantee I'm getting a good 45 seconds per stretch. Ideally, if you're only stretching for 2 or 3 seconds, it's not actually going to do a huge amount. What you want to do is try and remind that muscle to return back to its fully functioning length. The problem with tight muscles is that they're shortened, and that's then restricting movement, and actually that's what's causing the bulk of your pain. So you would do this stretch down to the side 3 times on each side of your neck. You don't want to just do it on one side, even though you might only feel uncomfortable on one side. The muscles at the back of the neck there work together for a lot of movement. So if one side's tight, the other side's taking over a bulk of the work, and that side's going to start getting tight. So even it up, do 3 on each side. The next stretch to do, as I say, when we're watching TV, when our muscles are fatigued, or when we're stressed out or tired or whatever it is, we tend to put our heads forward, and that really does shorten the muscles there. So to counteract that, what you would do is gently lower your head down to your chest. Again, not to the point of pain, but what you should feel is a stretch right from the base of your skull. I feel it pretty much all the way down to my middle back. Some people don't get it down that far, but what it's doing is working on all the muscles that work down into your spine, or your spinal muscles, sorry. But it's also working those neck muscles, stretching those neck muscles out, or making them return back to their normal functioning length. You would repeat that for 3 times as well for 45 seconds, or like me, count to 60, and then you're getting a good stretch there. The other thing that I discuss in the blog is using one of these. I've got a lacrosse ball, which is a rubber ball. It's got a little bit of give in it, not a huge amount of give in it, but it's certainly not as hard as a golf ball or a hockey ball would be. What you want to do is use a wall or hardback chair, or an office chair is adequate, as long as it's got a nice straight back on it and not too much give. Sofas aren't great, I say, as I'm demonstrating on a sofa. I'm actually sitting on the floor, so I've actually got the sort of the base of the sofa right behind me. So what you would do is you'd pop it behind your back there, find a knotty bit, which I've found one pretty well straight away, so I need to do this a little bit more than I have been. Again, you don't want it to be really painful, but you should feel a little bit ouchy in there. You would rest on it for 2 or 3 minutes. It may take that long. Just persevere. What you'll find is that the muscle just sort of feels like it melts underneath the ball, and then feels a lot more comfortable once you've done it. Once that muscle's sort of melted and the discomfort disappears, basically, move it up or down, whichever way you're going, to the next ouchy, uncomfortable bit. Do it on both sides of your shoulders. So me personally, it's always my left shoulder that's the problem. It's always the left shoulder I feel pain in. However, when I see my massage therapist, she works on my right side as much as my left, and actually quite a lot of the time my right side is a lot more uncomfortable when she's working on it than my left is, even though the pain I'm feeling is in my left side. So don't be fooled into thinking that I'm only painful one side, only do one side, do both, because as I said earlier, the neck muscles work together. So if one side's playing up, the other side is going to be taking over that work. Or it might be the side that's not playing up has been a bit redundant and the other side's taken over. But either way, do both sides and make sure that you're resting until that muscle just eases underneath the pressure of the ball. Some people do lay on the floor with it. I find that a little bit more uncomfortable, and I find it just twists me a little bit. But if you find that's the best method for you, by all means do that. What I would just remind you of is that it shouldn't be excruciating, it shouldn't be painful. You should just feel a little bit of discomfort, and the muscle should just sink underneath it, or melt underneath it is the best way of describing it. Hopefully those couple of stretches and the trigger point release will help you in the meantime. But what we're doing as well is some online consultations so that we can come up with tailored plans if you're having more specific issues. And I will be putting more blogs out there and more sort of self-help videos. But what I would say is try and do these stretches daily for the moment. Or if you're working from home and you're working at a laptop or your own office or whatever it may be, if you're finding that your neck's starting to get a little bit uncomfortable and you're sort of doing this and trying to loosen it up, just pause and do those stretches. They only take 2 or 3 minutes, but they will do a lot to make sure you're not getting into sort of real muscular pain in the time that you can't come in and see massage therapists to just iron those muscles out for you. With the self-release technique, so the ball, which actually mine has now melted and it feels a lot more comfortable. I will move it later, or make sure I do the rest of them later. I would do that every 2 or 3 days. You don't want to do it every day necessarily, but every 2 or 3 days will really help keep those muscles as not free as you can be, and hopefully a little bit more comfortable. If you want to know more about the online consultations, go onto the March Podiatry Facebook page. There's information on there for you to follow, and I may well speak to you face to face before we're back in clinic if you're wanting to do an online consultation. In the meantime, please stay safe. Please listen to the government advice, and we will get through this pandemic together, and we just need to be strong. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.